Welcome to Smut and Sensibility,
a podcast for romance readers and romance writers.
By romance readers and writers.
We are Amber,
Allie,
and Marie,
a group of learned ladies who love talking about the romance genre.
In this podcast, we will talk about our favorite books, writing craft, and how we make room for a creative life in real time.
So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to Smut and Sensibility, the Minisode. Minisode. Today we're going to be talking about each of our manuscripts in a little bit of a roundtable format. I'm Allie. I'm a doctorate writer and part-time student at Oxford studying history, and I am working on a spy rom-com that is fast-paced and good for fans of the Americans. And Amber, what are you working on?
Hi,
Tell us about you.
I'll tell you all the things. My name is Amber, and I'm a corporate attorney by day, a romance reader and writer by night, and I'm currently writing a contemporary romance that takes place in Minnesota, in a fictional town on the North Shore, and it's kind of small town hockey vibes and a little bit of adult Mighty Ducks in there.
I love that. Adult Mighty Ducks is perfect.
I mean, things are progressing. It's fun.
It's so fun. So if you're new here, we each have individual episodes talking more in depth about our individual works in progress. And so you can scroll back and see that in the feed. But after we did those initial 3 episodes, we wanted to do more of like a workshopping roundtable kind of a conversation with questions that can get us thinking about our books or questions of craft and just sort of our writing process, kind of anything that applies to more specifically the writing aspect of, what the hell we're doing here. So
surprise, today, anything goes. Anything.
That's correct. That's correct. So today, I wanted to start out by asking, Amber, how are you doing? How is it going? What is the vibe?
Yeah, I got a short update today, but that's kind of a great thing. Things are going better. We're healthy, and I've written some words, everybody. Yay! Like, not a ton, but like even some words feel so great. I'm shifting my perspective, kind of what we talked about last Manuscript Minisode about small little bursts, and going to be working with Sam soon. So things are looking on the up and up. So stay tuned. Eee.
I love that. Yay.
How about you, girl?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to answer anyway without you asking.
It's my turn. Hold my hair. Here I go.
So I'm doing okay. I think that I am working on making some progress, which makes me pretty happy. And I'm really trying to carve out just a little bit of time, a couple of times a week, to be working in my story wherever that happens to be. I will say I did have a little bit of an existential crisis / meltdown because we are listening to, or I'm listening to, and we're reading Save the Cat. It's a novel in preparation for one of our upcoming craft episodes that we're going to record.
This is true.
And I've talked about on another episode about how I am not a plotter. I'm not a discrete plotter. I'm not fully a pantser. I can consider myself an intuitive planner, which is Ellen Brock. She's an editor and she's on YouTube. We'll link her stuff if you want more information. But she has these kind of 4 subtypes of writers. And I tend to be more I read about craft and I kind of internalize it, and then I kind of just am feeling my way through, and how I determine what needs to happen is what feels needs to happen.
Vibes. We always bring the vibes.
Yeah, and it's not efficient, to be so clear. But
if anyone was having any questions or doubts, it's not.
It's not efficient at all. However, I don't know how to do it any other way right now. And so figuring out a more discrete system for me is something that's going to come at a later date once I finish a freaking manuscript, which I am going to finish this one, I swear to God.
2026, baby. We're coming in hot.
Is my
it's
year.
Happening.
Yes. But I'm listening to the audio version of this. And so we're going through the 12 beats or whatever, 13 beats of Save the Cat Writes a Novel. And I am absolutely panicking because I'm well, I don't know what that beat is for my story. And I'm trying to think, and we'll have a conversation about this on the major episode. But I do sometimes struggle with some of the craft books that are talking about plot, because I have sometimes a hard time applying that to romance, because you have your romance plot and then you have your subplot, your external plot. And so I think that Save the Cat, for at least my book, because it is very like action based, I think it does work for that kind of like the spy plot, I would say, the spy kind of like thriller mystery-ish plot.
Yeah.
But I have been panicking because I don't know the answers to like some of these plot beats, what they will be, or what they're like, what I don't have anything planned for them. And that makes me feel like I'm waking up, late to take a test and I forgot
You
my
haven't studied.
pants or something like that.
Yeah.
It feels like a stress dream is how I was feeling. So
I
it was
hate
actually
this.
not very relaxing.
I hate this for you, and I didn't mean to laugh, but I was giggling when you were like, I don't have the answers to those questions. And I was like, how rude of this craft book to ask us questions that we don't know the answer to incite panic. How fucking rude.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to be is I think I'm actually going to be like a reverse outliner, truthfully. So like I think in this creation stage, I think it's too much for my brain to like figure it out and then write it in a timely manner. However, like I said, I'm not being efficient right now, but it feels less efficient. It feels like, I can't move forward if I don't know the answer to like some of these plot questions versus doing a little bit more of like a discovery writing, which is what I sort of do with my kind of anchor points.
Yep.
But I think that I will be better once I'm in the revising phase. I think I can do a reverse outline because like that's what we did in school. Critical analysis, analysis of text. Like I know how to do that. So like I can do that to myself, but I can't seem to do it while I'm writing or in advance of writing. Does that make sense?
It does. It really
it's like
does.
I can only do it to something that exists. And if I try to do it ahead of time, it kind of scrambles my brain. And I don't know why.
I think, like you said, it's just the pressure of having to do it and then not letting yourself have the creativity to like enjoy the journey while you're writing. And I also think too, we might have talked about this, but I also am in the middle of the reread, and I have moments as well that there's stuff that's really helpful, but then some that may not be. And it doesn't even mean if you're writing a romance or not, like not all books are the same. And like we talked about that, like traditional romance structure is very different than like different book structures.
Yeah.
So, you could still, like you said, use for your spy plot, which is still like almost parallel or still a subplot where maybe you don't need to necessarily hit every single one of those because your book is still primarily romance with a lot going on. And so that's like the difference between romance and being able to like, the third rail and then having still the plot where it's not just the plot and then maybe just a little bit of romance sprinkled in and out. And that's why you need all those like, different post points or beats. Like Save the Cat definitely has more beats, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think if I'm going to be like a craft girly, and I'm not including romancing the beat because romancing the beat does make sense to me. But I think like if I have to pick like right now, G to my head, I'm going to say I'm a story genius girl. Like if I had to pick one that I find is more helpful for me and like what helps me move forward, it's definitely story genius. But
yeah. But again, we really like character development, right? And like
we do.
feeling authentic and those stories and those backgrounds, like almost in our book nooks, right? That's what we always talk about.
We do.
So that to me makes sense that, you can have the best plot and plot twist, but like if the characters fall flat and don't seem three-dimensional or believable, like, am I even going to finish the book to get to a really good plot twist? Questionable. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And honestly, like I think we're both doing pretty good, and it's about fucking time.
It's about goddamn time. Thank you for all the well wishes online and vibes you've been sending, because I think we have reached them. They've reached us, and we've needed them. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your vibes.
So see, we're positive polys this week. We're getting places. On to our roundtable. So the question this week that we're going to kind of dive into is, what was the first scene or scenes you thought of for your current work in progress? And have you written them already? Or is there an upcoming scene that you're excited or dreading writing? Like you don't have to answer both, but just kind of like, what made you really decide to write this project in particular? Was there a scene that you can remember dreaming up first?
Or are you am I going first?
I can, either one of us. Should we do another failed rock, paper, scissors adventure? I mean, either one of us can
Honestly,
go first.
I kind of feel like that's our thing. Should we try it again?
Yep. Okay. So we're going to go rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Right?
Yeah.
And then we got to hold it up higher to the camera. I failed.
Because we were down here. Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Okay. Are you ready?
Okay.
Rock,
paper, scissors.
No. We have to count down. 3, 2, 1. Rock,
paper,
scissors, shoot. I won.
You did win.
Allie has a scissors, I have a rock. That was still
Yeah,
really
for
quite
those of you that
embarrassing.
are listening, we didn't have to do it 3 times where we both picked scissors every time.
Our
I did
beats-
this time continue to pick scissors just because
I
I wanted
know.
to see what would happen with that.
I was like, she's gonna pick scissors again. But we need to get better on our beat. I'm like, rock. You're like, rock. Paper.
Okay, but that's because we're over the internet. There's a delay. So even when I try to match it up with you, when you get it, it's a delay.
Fine.
Yeah,
So
it's the
anyways, you're
internet.
welcome for that visual and auditory treat that you didn't know
Welcome.
you needed. So I win. Does that mean I go first or do you go first?
I've heard that there is nothing more entertaining than auditory rock, paper, scissors. Listening to people play rock, paper, scissors poorly.
It's the new thing.
Yes. Okay, so you go first, I think.
I go first because I won. And
You won, yeah.
your scissors are all bent and rusted on the ground.
They are.
'Cause I crushed I crushed it.
I crushed.
Like anyone who's watching, she has like a claw hand. Like
I have like
Edward
two little claws of crushed
like little Edward
scissors.
scissor hands.
Little
Okay,
raptors.
so there are a couple that stick out for me. Not just one. I'm not going to go into them all, but there's like 2 or 3 that really stick out even now. And I think that's what pushed me to like, yep, this is the story you're going to write because these scenes keep coming back to you and you want to write a story and you want to know more. There's one where I haven't written it yet. Violet is on the North Shore of Minnesota, so it's really beautiful. The lake is almost as big as an ocean, right? And there's lots of rocks. And there's a storm coming in, it's kind of dark, and it's her dark night of the soul scene. She's like really upset. She's just like sitting on the rocks, having her introspective, like brokenhearted, like what does she need to do turmoil moment. So there's that one. So that kind of solidified this like the location of where I wanted it to be. And then another scene is Aiden teaching Violet hockey stick skills, like behind her and teaching, and like the whole, like I knew I wanted to have hockey as the sport, but maybe not have it be in an NHL setting all the time like he's currently playing. So that's kind of what led me to wanting it to be average people on a league, led me to like the fun Mighty Ducks adult version, but him still like coaching and teaching and having that like sexual tension and physical proximity and like adjusting her hands and like behind her. And that hasn't written yet either. So I feel like I'm really excited that all 3 of these I haven't written yet, but it's because it's in like the bulk of the book, right? I needed to like set up the scene and the goalposts. So I'm hoping that me putting in all this work, then it's really going to fly and I'm going to be really excited. And then my third scene is falling into a lake. So it's frozen and there's like dangers with being outside, but Violet's going to fall in the lake and Aiden's going to have to like pull her out and save her and bring her by the fire and like warm her up and hypothermia.
I love that
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, girl.
So some things are coming. So all of that considered, it was like I had these vague characters, I had these scenes, and it kind of was like definitely like fall, winter, Minnesota. I was like, yeah, this is what we're doing right now. You have other ideas, and that's cool, but these scenes you keep daydreaming about and really like vividly seeing them. So yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that daydreams a couple good scenes, and I'm like, that's what I want to do.
That's what I want to do. I love that. I can't wait for you to write those. So chop.
I mean, I'll get on it. Go.
Go. Because I want to read those.
How about you?
Okay, so for me, the story that I'm working on right now, I mentioned this in my Manuscript Minisode, but if you guys are new, this actually started out as like a sort of a short story for one of our writing group members. So we were sending them stories based on their id list, which is the list of things that they love, that they like reading in books. And it's random stuff. So we got sent their id list and we're told to, write, I don't know how much it was. It was like 3,000 words, like less than something words. I don't know. I wrote 2 chapters essentially.
I bet it was 1 to 3. It was substantial enough to be a decent story, but it wasn't like you're gonna write
it was like 1 to 3,000 words, like a little story. So we were also told initially that the prompt had to include a butt dial. And then it was like, no, scratch that. The prompt, like you have to include like a hot dog in there.
I love it. Like a hot dog. Anywhere it has to be mentioned. It can be off to the side. It could be the main event, but a hot dog has to be in the story.
Exactly. So my first line is kind of like based on both of those. And I think my first line of my book is what was the combination of that. And I don't know if that's going to stay the first line of the book, but that was sort of the first thing that I thought of because it illustrates, okay, how did this character get to where they are now. So the first scene that I thought of was the first scene of the book where they are at their restaurant, which is like a Wiener cafe
Fast
in
casual.
Vienna. Fast casual
Wiener.
Wiener cafe in Vienna. And there's a shootout essentially there. And it's really busy because their cafe has gone viral, which was not part of the plan. So that was the first scene that I had. And then some other things that kind of came quickly after that. I knew that my heroine was a polyglot, so she speaks a lot of languages. And I've had this this scene that I think is funny because, I just do. There's like this scene.
I don't need to explain.
No, jokes are notoriously always better when you have to explain them.
I've heard that once or twice.
I know, right? So this scene, it's kind of like an Eliza Doolittle scene. And so that is happening actually pretty soon. I've been pretty excited about that. The other scene that I kind of always knew was going to be there was there's this kind of like evil people ski weekend, and there's like some shenanigans and stuff that are taking place. And that I kind of always knew was going to happen. And then I had always known the ending of the book, which has the choice that Karina and Johannes have to make and the confrontation with the bad guy. I always knew that. And that's going to take place again back in Vienna. We're going to have to figure out like who we are going to be loyal to. Are we going to be loyal to ourselves? Are we going to be loyal to our country? Are we going to be loyal to our partner? And so those are
a big choice.
Those are some different choices that like we have to make. So those were kind of the scenes. So, and I knew there was going to be like a Vienna ball scene because this takes place in
Why would you
Austria.
not have a ball if you were in Vienna?
Listen,
it would be a crime.
I love historical romance. There has to be a ball. Like you're going to pry a ball out of my cold dead hands. I'm going to figure out how to make it. And part of the reason also was I was like, Vienna, ball season, winter, perfect, done. Also clandestine hotbed, perfect, great. So
Also
Vienna
for
ball,
me, après-ski vibes at the rich bad guy conference. I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of those. And I would say those are sort of like important like pillars for the progression of the story. But those were like the fun kind of core moments that I knew that I like wanted to have.
What do you guys think? For you guys who are writing or aspiring authors or thinking about it, how do you come up with what story you want to work on next? Do you have a list that you've already, like, you go in sequential order? Do you have scenes that you think of? You should let us know in the comments.
And how do you choose? Because I feel like I have a ton of ideas, and invariably they always sort of crop up around this time in a manuscript, right around that 30-40% mark.
It is going to be interesting, not if, but when we are like agented and, published, and then we're trying to work on our next one. I feel like we both are this way. I know for sure I am. I'm very like vibes based and mood based. Like I listen to music based on my mood.
Yep.
I will write books based on my mood or sometimes seasons or like what's going on. So like you'll get to the point where it's like, we would really like you to write this book in this parameter, which we are smart individuals. We can do that, but it's going to be a very different exercise. It'll be like, you don't just want my vibes for the moment?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you want me to do A, B, and C? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, if we ever get the opportunity to write something on spec, like, I don't even know how I would begin to do that. I'm sure I'll figure it out because I believe that I can figure out most things. But that is going to be something definitely that's going to be different, because I think a lot of what I'm going off of now and the thing that sustains me is like, I'm leaning into the things that feel good, which are essentially the things that I like am excited to write, which is like that id list. Like, ooh, I'm going to write this like tense scene or some little thing that I'm going to include here. So it would be interesting to see what that would feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks you guys for coming with us on this cute little mini-sode. These are so fun. And let us know if you like this new format where we do a brief update and then do a posed question to kind of get us thinking and roundtabling about how we write in our current works in progress.
Yeah. And let us know in the comments how you come up with your story ideas. Like, do you have a character that's yelling at you? Do you have a scene that you envision? Do you have a premise? How does it come to you? And then how do you choose? How do you decide to work on what to work on next? So let us know.
Asking for a friend.
Exactly. So yeah, let us know. And thank you so much for coming with us on this fun journey. We've loved engaging with everybody, and we will definitely continue to see you on the internet. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Smut and Sensibility Pod. Please go ahead and like, rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, because it really does help us connect with other people and helps people find our podcast. Like, I am biased, but I think like romance readers and writers are like really cool people, and we want to connect with the coolest, and we want to connect cool people with cool people. So it really does help us out, and we really do appreciate it. And thank you to the people that have already left 5-star reviews and comments. You're the real MVPs. So thank you so much.
It's true.
And I hope that you guys stay safe and stay smutty and go forth in pursuit of your happily ever after. Bye.
Bye, guys.